After the reveal of its impressive A380 aircraft, an exciting new era dawned for Airbus. In addition to expanding its already stellar lineup, the group would continue to broaden its worldwide customer base and seek out innovative ways to remain a market leader. So Boeing had better watch out. This is the evolution of Airbus, Part 3. As well as building aircraft for passenger travel, Airbus and its constituent companies have played huge roles in space exploration and in producing vehicles for the military. In May 2003, Airbus began making plans for an aircraft that would replace older military planes, such as the Transall C-160 and the Lockheed C-130 Hercules. What they came up with was a 4-engine, turboprop military transport aircraft, which they named the Airbus A400M Atlas. The aircraft was nearly canceled due to program delays and cost overruns. In early 2009, a German newspaper reported that the A400M was overweight by 12 tons, which meant that it couldn't properly perform one of its key tasks. The aircraft was meant to be able to lift 32 tons, allowing it to transport infantry fighting vehicles. At a carrying capacity of 29 tons, the A400M would not be able to function as intended, which was disastrous for the development. Eventually, an audit performed by PricewaterhouseCoopers concluded that the project would run a massive 11.2 billion euros, or $11.9 billion over budget. This nearly led to the cancellation of the entire project. Luckily, the customer nations still had faith in the project and decided to continue supporting Airbus in this endeavor, eventually allowing this behemoth of an aircraft to be completed. It eventually took to the skies in December 2009 and, in addition to its transport capabilities, was able to perform aerial refueling and medical evacuations. The A400M's 4-meter wide, 17.7-meter long cargo compartment could accommodate up to 116 fully equipped troops. It could carry up to 37,000 kilograms or 81,600 pounds, with a total maximum takeoff weight of 141,000 kilograms. With the ability to land on rough terrains, such as grass or sand strips, to airdrop troops or pallets, and to deliver large payloads with better range, speed, and lift performance than previous generation airlifters, the A400M was a hit with many countries. The first of 111 aircraft produced so far was delivered to the French Air Force in 2013, with the Germans, British, and Spanish receiving orders in the double digits soon after. A total of 10 different countries have received or are currently awaiting delivery of the A400M, with the plane already living up to its Atlas nickname by seeing heavy action in Afghanistan, the Central African Republic, Mali, the Caribbean, and in the Middle East. Besides their most recent military adventure, Airbus wanted to continue competing in the passenger aircraft market. In 2004, a new design was proposed for the A350. This new aircraft would be made to compete with their biggest competitor, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Originally, it was designed to offer an extended range, while retaining the same 222-inch fuselage cross-section used in the A330 and A340. However, with customers seeking a more radical evolution, it was decided that the A350 would be redesigned, and the fuselage's cross-section was expanded to 232 inches. This extra-wide body version had its industrial launch on December 1, 2006. With the A350 XWB positioned to be the newest medium-capacity long-range aircraft, Rolls-Royce would also supply a new version of the Trent engine specifically for this aircraft, even going so far as to name it the Trent XWB. Orders for the A350 XWB began to come in, first from Finnair, then from airlines in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, the Asia Pacific, and North and South America. It was not until June 2013 that the A350 made its first flight. The main test pilot was very excited about the plane, saying that it just seemed really happy in the air. All the things we were testing had no major issues at all. Notably, it was the first Airbus plane made largely of carbon filter reinforced polymers. Its widened fuselage allowed 9 passengers per row, up from 7 seen in the A330 and the A340. In total, 3 variants were built. The A350-900 could carry 300 to 350 passengers, up to a range of 9,320 miles or 15,000 kilometers, with a 283-ton maximum takeoff weight. Airbus also made an ultra-long-range version of the A350-900, fittingly called the A350-900 ULR. This aircraft can fly for 19 hours, with a range of 11,200 miles or 18,000 kilometers, making it the longest-range airliner in the world. Currently, the only operator is Singapore Airlines. They use the 7 aircraft that they have in service to fly non-stop between Singapore and the U.S. West Coast. This aircraft also holds the title for longest flight landed, flying for nearly 18 hours, covering a distance of 10,290 miles or 16,561 kilometers. The longer A350-1000 accommodates 350 to 410 passengers and has a maximum range of 10,000 miles or 16,100 kilometers and a 319-ton maximum takeoff weight. In 2007, plans were mentioned to create a freighter version of the A350-900 called the A350F. This aircraft was to be slightly longer than the A350-900, with a range of 5,754 miles. The final version would, however, be based on the A350-1000. Its 109-ton payload is slightly higher than the 103.7-ton payload of the Boeing 777F. At the Dubai Air Show in 2021, the launch customer would be the American Air Lease Corporation, with an order for 7 freighters. However, Singapore Airlines will be the first to use the aircraft. So far, 31 A350F have been ordered, with the first to be delivered in 2025. Airbus had also designed a shorter version of the A350, dubbed the A350-800. The company wanted to offer as many options as possible to suit their customers' needs. The A350-800 did not have enough demand, however, so the project was canceled. In total, 919 A350 aircraft have been ordered so far by 52 customers. Singapore Airlines is the biggest out of 39 operators that have received the 509 aircraft currently delivered. Fun fact, between 2006 and 2009, Airbus underwent a major revamp as the airline industry struggled to deal with a weakened US dollar. Many customers began scaling back their operations. So to deal with this, Airbus introduced its new Power 8 restructuring plan. The program developed a strategy for coping with financial pressures and provided responsive cost-cutting measures, helping to transform the Airbus business model and ensure the long-term success of what some refer to as the new Airbus. In 2018, Airbus entered the regional market when its Canadian branch struck a partnership with Bombardier, acquiring its CS100 and CS300 models, which at that time had already been in service for 2 years. Airbus managed to achieve this by getting a majority share in the project of 50.01% for just $1 Canadian. What a bargain! The existing models would be rebranded the A220-100 and the A220-300. The A220-100, still dubbed the CS100 at the time, would take its maiden flight in September 2013. The A220-300, formerly known as the CS300, would take first flight in February 2015. Powered by Pratt & Whitney turbofan engines, the twin jets feature fly-by-wire flight controls, a carbon composite wing, an aluminum lithium fuselage, and optimized aerodynamics for better efficiency. All of these features made the A220 series more efficient and quieter than the existing competitors. The operating costs for these aircraft are 14% lower than the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and Airbus's very own A350 XWB. The 35-meter-long A220-100 can seat 108 to 133 people, while the 38.7-meter-long A220-300 seats 130 to 160. The maximum range of the A220 varies between 3,970 to 4,143 miles, and it has a maximum takeoff weight from 63.1 to 70.9 tons. To date, 227 A220 models have been produced. Fun fact, while Airbus and Boeing are now closely matched in most markets, Airbus sets itself apart when it comes to smaller regional planes. When global travel slowed down significantly due to the pandemic, the A220 was among the first aircraft to be put back into service due to its lower capacity and excellent efficiency. It was dubbed the world's most active aircraft by Simple Flying in August of 2020, with 93.75% of the global fleet operational. On the 1st of December 2010, Airbus launched the NEO program for its A320 family of aircraft. Standing for New Engine Option, it involved upgrading the fleet in a number of ways to maintain the A320's reputation as the world's most advanced and fuel-efficient single-aisle aircraft. Based on the enhanced variants of previous A320 models, as well as the A319 and A321, the A320neo offered two advanced engine choices of Pratt & Whitney and CFM International, both of which provide outstanding operational, economic, and environmental performance. Also included on the A320neo were Airbus's Sharklets, 2.4-meter tall wingtip devices that result in up to 4% reduced fuel burn over longer journeys. This reduces annual CO2 emissions by around 900 tons per aircraft and delivers 20% in fuel savings compared to previous generation Airbus aircraft. Other changes for the A320neo included an expanded seating capacity, with optimized cabin space and increased exit limits, enabling the jetliner to accommodate up to 194 passengers in a high-density configuration. On top of all that, this new engine option would also offer an extra flying range of 575 miles. The first A320neo took to the skies in September 2014 and entered service with Lufthansa on the 25th of January 2016. Other members of the A320 family, namely the A321 and A319, also received the Neo upgrade, with previous models referred to as CO, or Current Engine Option. The A319neo is a shortened fuselage variant of the A320neo, with seating for up to 160 passengers. The variant has been far less popular than the A320neo, partly because of its competition with the A220 and 300, created just a few years earlier. Airbus has, however, stated that they do not plan to discontinue the aircraft. The A321neo is the lengthened fuselage variant of the A320neo, allowing for up to 240 passengers. Unlike the A319neo, this variant has actually become more popular than the A320neo itself, accounting for over 53% of all A320neo family orders by 2022. In less than a year, the family of aircraft managed to stack up 1,420 orders and commitments, making it the fastest-selling aircraft ever. By 2019, the A320neo had captured 60% of the market share versus the competing Boeing 737 MAX. And as of August 2022, a total of 8,502 aircraft from the A320neo family had been ordered by more than 130 customers worldwide. 2,374 of those orders have been delivered at the time of this video, completing more than 5.5 million flights, over 11 million block hours without accidents. Wow, what a safety record. In October 2014, Airbus announced plans for a long-range variant of the A321, appropriately named the A321LR. Containing 164 seats, it would provide 115 miles more range than Boeing's 169-seat 757-200 and offers 27% lower trip costs. These benefits would result in the A321LR gradually replacing the 757 in the market. After launching in January 2015 with Air Lease Corporation as the customer, the initial 164-seat layout was replaced by a two-class 206-seat configuration. Its range was 4,603 miles, which is still 575 miles farther than the regular A321neo. In April 2019, JetBlue announced its intention to use the A321LR on routes to London from Boston and New York City, with the airline even converting 13 of its standing orders for the A321neo into the A321LR to better serve these routes. Fun fact, the A321LR went through 15 continuous flights for a 100-hour flight test. We're not sure if the plane was getting tired, but the pilots definitely were. During the flight test, it even set a record for having the longest range of any single-aisle jetliner. Plans to give their A330 model the Neo makeover were announced in July 2014, with modern engines comparable to those of Boeing's 787. The A330 Neo family was to be powered exclusively by the Rolls-Royce Trent 7000 and offered 14% better fuel economy per seat. Two versions of the A330 Neo would be created based on the A330-200 and the A330-300. The A330-800 Neo was designed for longer distances, like the A330-200 that it's based on. The aircraft can carry up to 257 passengers over an insane distance of up to 9,379 miles or 15,090 kilometers. Despite its impressive range, the A330-800, as of this point in time, is the worst-selling jet that Airbus has produced. This is likely because airlines decided that replacing the A330-200 with this newer model wasn't worth it. Airbus also lost their battle against the older, more popular Boeing 787-8. The A330-900 Neo is very similar to the A330-300 in its fuselage length. It can carry up to 287 passengers over a distance of 7,538 miles, or 12,130 kilometers. Thankfully for Airbus, this model was a lot more popular than its counterpart, with a total of 267 orders. The A330 Neo family features new technologies and multiple aerodynamic improvements, such as the new composite winglet devices that generate increased lift and reduce drag. The A330 Neo models reduce fuel consumption and CO2 emissions by 25% compared to previous generation aircraft, and the interior has been made more comfortable for passengers as well. Utilizing the state-of-the-art cabin developments introduced on A350, it encompasses Airbus's four key pillars: comfort, ambiance, services, and design. There's more personal space, a unique welcome area, and signature elements to add a sense of luxury. Wider seats, a beautifully lit cabin, and the latest generation of in-flight entertainment, plus email and Wi-Fi capabilities, all come as standard on the A330 Neo models. The first such aircraft entered service on the 15th of December 2018, and so far, 79 of them have been made. Fun fact: the SE, and Airbus's official corporate name, Airbus SE, stands for Societas Europaea, which means it's registered as a European corporation rather than a national one. Its shares are traded in France, Germany, and Spain. But with over 180 locations and 12,000 direct suppliers globally, Airbus has built on its strong European foundation to become an international powerhouse. Based on deliveries alone, Airbus is now officially the largest airplane manufacturer in the world. Speaking of size, an XL version of the already huge Beluga aircraft took its maiden flight in July 2018 and was put into service by Airbus just 18 months later. By volume, it is the fifth largest cargo transport aircraft in the world, although Boeing's Dreamlifter remains the largest by length and wingspan. Based on an A330-200 airframe, the Beluga XL offers an incredible 2,209 cubic meters of fuselage space. By comparison, the Dreamlifter manages 1,840 cubic meters. Interestingly, the six-engine Ukrainian Antonov AN-225 can carry the heaviest load of any transport aircraft, with a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons. However, its cargo space is only 1,300 cubic meters. Sadly, however, the world's largest plane was destroyed by the Russians in the war in Ukraine. There are plans to restore the plane, which will take over 5 years to rebuild and cost over $3 billion. These costs are massive considering the program to develop and produce 5 Beluga XL models cost €1 billion or $1.1 billion. As with its predecessor, now known as the Beluga ST, the Beluga XL fleet operates across 11 destinations in Europe, continuing to strengthen Airbus's industrial capabilities and enabling the company to meet its production and delivery commitments by moving oversized aircraft components such as wings. However, by far the best part of this aircraft has to be the new design. Leaning heavily onto its nickname, Airbus decided to give the Beluga eyes and a mouth. To date, a total of 6 Beluga XLs have been built. In 2019, at the Paris Air Show, an extra long-range version of the Airbus A321 was revealed. with deliveries of the aircraft expected from 2024 onwards. This aircraft will be competing with the Boeing NMA that is still in development and will be essential for Boeing to avoid losing market share to the Airbus. Offering 5,409 miles of range, the XLR features a new permanent rear center tank for more fuel, a strengthened landing gear for 101-ton maximum takeoff weight, and an optimized wing trailing edge flap to preserve takeoff performance. The A321XLR is called a low-risk route opener by Airbus itself because it allows airlines to fly longer routes that lack the demand to use a larger aircraft. The single-aisle, extra-long-range plane received plenty of orders at the air show in Paris, with Middle East Airlines being the first, becoming its launch customer. As of April 2020, 450 orders have been received from 24 countries, most notably with 50 orders coming from United Airlines at a value of $7.1 billion to replace its 757-200 fleet. It looks as though Airbus and Boeing will continue to dominate the skies for years to come, with the Europeans looking set to lead from the front, at least in the near future. And given Airbus's track record so far, I'm okay with that. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this series and click the video on screen to watch the evolution of Boeing.